Okay, shalom, adim l'simcha, good morning.
What page you have?
We're on Lamed Vav Lamed Beis on the bottom, but just one note. Yesterday, I was confused while I was saying the Gemara, so just to go back a second, there was a Bryce. I think I said it right, but didn't sit so well. So just to go through that again, there was a case over here. We wanted to know about a chalitza that was done, chalitzas muberes. That was the subject about going on a couple of days already. That if someone gave chalitza to a woman, the widow who is muberes, is it a good chalitza or not? So here the Gemara wanted to be right. Rish Lakish says it's not good. The case was that a man who had two wives, and one of them he went with one of them overseas, and then the woman who's here, the other wife, she found out that her husband died. So the question is if she could do yibum or not. The yibum will go married. So it says that she should. The more things it says, they should not do chalitza and should not do yibum until she finds out what happened. Means that her co-wife, if she's pregnant and gives birth, so then there's no yibum. She should marry out. If she's not pregnant, so then the chayiv yibum. So it says the wife should not do anything. And the most question is, she surely cannot get yibum because maybe the co-wife is pregnant and she's going to give birth to a ben kayama, and there's no yibum. She surely can't do yibum because maybe she's marrying yibum without the mitzvah of yibum. Right. But the question is, why can't she do chalitza? And the Gemara says here, Bishlam, she can't do chalitza before 9 months and get married within 9 months because of the side that we said before, that maybe the co-wife is pregnant with a ben kayama, and even if you do chalitza before the child is born, it doesn't work. This is where I was shaky. That even Rabbi Yochanan, it says that chalitza to muberes is good. That's only if it's not a ben kayama. But if the child is eventually going to live, so then the yibum and the chalitza surely are not good, and therefore, if she's going to get married, if the co-wife is pregnant with a ben kayama, surely she can't do anything. She can't do chalitza or yibum. But the maskash is why not do chalitza as soon as you can? Do chalitza within the 9 months, and even if she's muberes, but on the side that's not going to be a ben kayama, let her marry after 9 months. Let her do chalitza within 9 months. And then marry after 9 months. So after 9 months, either the co-wife gave birth after she's not going to be pregnant more than 9 months. That's a maximum. Right. So if she waits 9 months, then either the child is a ben kayama and she's mutter to marry out because there's no yibum. And if the child is not a ben kayama, so then the chalitza was a good chalitza, and she could marry now. That was the Gemara's proof. And the Gemara said it's not a proof because if the kasha will be a kasha, then she could anyway wait till after the 9 months and do chalitza. Then also, then she's always going to be and get married. If it's if the baby was born, it was born. Right. If not, then it's already not a ben kayama, and she does chalitza now. So the more over there disproved the proof. Okay, I just wanted to fill in yesterday's Gemara. It's not to get to today's Gemara. So we go on to Lamed Vav Lamed Beis on the bottom, and the subject came Agav. Here the Gemara spoke about. We go back off the subject a little bit. It came into halacha that even if you weren't here yesterday, you can start now. It spoke about halacha that a person is not allowed to marry muberes chaver umenekas chaver. It's the middle of the page. It says lo'isa adam umenekas chaver muberes chaver umenekas chaver. Not a question about discerning who the child is. You know, she's pregnant already. You know, she was divorced or widowed, and she's pregnant or a menika or she's nursing. So you're not allowed to marry her until she finishes weans the baby. And if she's pregnant, she has to give birth and then wean the baby. The Gemara later on, yesterday I wasn't sure what the reason is, but later on the Gemara says the reason is because the new husband is not concerned so much with the other one's baby, and therefore what's going to happen. So the Gemara says over there that she's going to might become pregnant from him on the new marriage, and she's going to stop nursing, and the first baby is going to be in trouble. So it could be nowadays, but I don't know what they pass nowadays about that. There is maternal available. There is the Gemara says a husband, if it's his child, so then even if his wife will become pregnant again, which we said is some do have a concern with that she should be contraceptive until the baby is weaned, but we hold that you're allowed to mishamesh further, and even if she becomes pregnant, and then the Gemara says something like maternal, he'll take care of the baby. He'll take care of the baby, that even if the second baby is going to be born, and she's not able to nurse the first baby anymore, he'll take care of her. But here's a case where the woman has a child that's not his. She has a child from her previous marriage, and now she's married to a new husband, and she becomes pregnant, and he's not chayiv to take care of her previous baby. So that's the Gemara's concern. So therefore, we wait until he's weaned. That's the reason why it comes out a big chumrah that a woman, after she's divorced or husband or widowed, she can't marry if she's expecting. She has to wait till the baby's born, and then another 2 years. So it's a long time. It could be 3 years. Oh. So I don't know what the poskim say nowadays. If there could be nowadays is different because there's maternal available. There's no big expense. I don't know. The husband's not mechuyev to pay for that. The husband doesn't have to pay for his wife's previous baby from a different husband. But we'll leave that as the father's halacha l'maisa. But here the point was that we don't allow her to marry again. And if she does, over there, Meir was machbid, even if we can make a big class, we throw the book and we say that you have to divorce and never marry her again in order to make sure that nobody does it. So if somebody married within the time that she's still nursing a previous baby, so then he has to divorce her according to her Meir. Chachamim say no. He just has to divorce her. We said, no, not to just separate. You have to divorce mamish. And then after the 24 months, after the weaning, you can take her back. That's how we came in. We're going into it. We're evolving into a new subject. We're rolling from one subject to another subject. But this is what we're holding. We're passing like the Rabbanan. I'll just highlight it over here. It says, if you just look at the screen, so it says a person should not marry a woman who's pregnant from a different man or weaning a child of a different man. And if he did, he has to divorce her. But we pass like Rabbanan, that he can take her back after the time. After she weans, we want to make sure that they stay separated. So they have nothing to do with yevamos, right? Right. It's a different case. New stuff. They come on the first day, nothing to do with anything. A person should not marry a woman who's muberes or menika, and the chash is because she'll become pregnant again and not be able to nurse anymore the previous child, which is not his, and he has no chuyavut to that child. And therefore, we don't want that to happen. If he did, we want to separate them to make sure, again, that she shouldn't become pregnant from him. And therefore, Yotzi doesn't only mean that they separate, it means they has to give her a get. If they want to, after the time, 24 months, after he's weaned, it's the chachamim, right? Okay, now the Gemara continues. That's as far as we got yesterday. What's in the get was what the Gemara said yesterday, you'll see a baguette. That it's not enough just to separate. They have to mamish give her a get. You can give her a get and they can make up. I'll come back in 2 years. I'll marry you again. But right now, in order to make sure that they stay separated, he has to give her a get. Now the Gemara starts. And I'll just say what the question is going to be. What if he's a Kohen?
He's a Kohen.
He's a Kohen. He shouldn't have married her. You're not allowed to marry with him while she's Mubarak or Monika. He married her, but he's a Kohen. And we want to make them sure they stay separated. So we say you have to give a get. If he gives a get, he's not going to be able to take her back anymore. That's going to be the question. Are we going to be lenient for the Kohen that he doesn't have to, he could separate without giving a get and no, he should be able to marry her eventually. The Gemara is going to bring a similar case where we find such a kind of a concern for a Kohen and see if that concern is going to apply here also. That once a baby lives for 30 days, then it's not a nefil anymore. He's not I don't know what the word is in the English. A nefil means a child. But it's not a stillborn. It's not called a stillborn if he dies within 30 days. Is that called a stillborn?
No.
So if a baby lives for 30 days, it's a right that he's a full, healthy baby and he could have lived.
Tag, no? Tag is
that's a possibility. Okay, the Gemara does say that if he was a full-term pregnancy, so then he's totally not a nefil. But if it was not a full-term pregnancy, so then it could be that it's a nefil. And the only way to prove it here, the Gemara says, according to Shem Gamliel, would be not the only way to prove it if he lives 30 days. Once he lives 30 days, then he's not a nefil. But what if it was halosha? If it was not 30 days, then it's possible that it's a nefil. Suffolk nefil. We'll see soon. The Rabbanan argue say it's not a nefil. We don't have to assume it. But according to Shem Gamliel, less than 30 days, you have to assume that it's a nefil. Rashi says what Chaim David said, that if it's a full-term pregnancy, so then the nochash nefil. But the case could be, we don't know for sure if it was a full-term. We don't know. Or there's another Gemara about Kalalo Sarvitz, Talmud Sarvitz Iparnov. If he has simanim, we can see that his fingernails and his hair, we see he's fully developed. That's also right. It's not a nefil. But whatever the case is the more wants to talk about a suffix nefil, a baby that you don't know if he's a nefil or not. So here the case is it's a suffix, less than 30 days. You don't know if he's a nefil. Now what's Allah here? What if this baby died within 30 days? It means it's a suffix nefil. We don't know. It could be it was also a healthy baby when he died. Also, it also happens. Shouldn't happen, but it could be that is a nefil. Now, what happened? So then she has a suffix yibum. Here's the case where this is the only child of her husband, and he died within 30 days. So she has a suffix if she's chayv yibum. If it was a nefil, then the deceased husband did not leave over any seed, so she has to
remarry.
Yes, do yibum. If it was not a nefil, then she marries out. So what does she do? She doesn't know if to do yibum or not, so she does chalitza. That's the standard thing. Whenever you don't know if she has to do yibum or not, you can't do yibum because maybe not. You cannot do yibum because maybe yes. So what do? You do chalitza. That's the way to avoid all problems. But this woman, she didn't. Amdav in his kacha. She got married. She got married. So but
Not
ma-
to the proposed.
no, she married out. She married out. So married doesn't. This kashim is only kedushin. It wasn't as soon. It was only kedushin. He gave her money. I read it mekadeshly, but he didn't consummate the marriage. He didn't have relations. So what do we do? She wants to. He wants to marry. She wants to marry somebody, and maybe she's chayv yibum. I mean, she has to have chalitza. Really, this woman is supposed to have chalitza misafik, and she's getting married. She made kedushin. So we would tell her to do chalitza. Do
Right
chalitza.
there and then.
Do chalitza from the yavam, and then get married. Who you want to? But the problem is if he's a kohen.
Who's the coin?
If the one she wants to marry is a kohen, she wants to marry a kohen, and she has stuff for chalitza. She should have gotten chalitza and then not marry a kohen. She should have told the shatchanit that I'm a chalutza. I can't look for a kohen. But she got married. She made the kedushin first, and now we want to know should we force her to do chalitza? And her chassan is a kohen. So Ravina B'Shmei Rav Amar Imesh is Yisraeli chaletzes, Imesh is kohen the inner chaletzes. If the chassan means that she married kedushin is the Yisrael, so then do chalitza from the yavam and then continue with the marriage. But if the chassan is a kohen, then we could be lenient that she doesn't have to do chalitza in order to be able to marry. Because we'll see why. It's Rikasha, Safak Chalutza. Maybe she's allowed to get married. Maybe she's Yavam Lashuk. Maybe she's obligated to the Yavam. If the baby was a Nefel, we don't know. It's Sefak Nefel. Maybe the baby's a Nefel, so then she's obligated to the Yavam, and she wouldn't be able to marry out. And she's going to live with this Kohen for the rest of her life. Every time they're together, it's a Safak Lav. How do you do that? We don't know yet. But he says that there's a consideration for a Kohen, and she doesn't have to get Chalitza. The more continues with this, I'm arguing on that. Rav Mashasha says both of them are saying the name of Rava. Here you have Rava, Ravina Mishmei the Rava, and Rav Mashasha Mishmei the Rava. They're arguing what Rava said. Rav Mashasha said no such thing. A Kohen also, even if the chassan is a Kohen, just to get Chalitza and tells the Kohen, find somebody else. I can't marry you. The more continues with this side story. Rav Mashasha, the orta means machlokas what Rava said. So Ravina said that you heard that Rava said it's Asar. That's true. That's what he said at night. But the following morning he changed his mind. But orta Amar Rava Hachi at night Rava said like you that she has to get chalitza even if the chassan is a kohen. But b'tzar for other but in the morning he had chayrot. You weren't there in the morning. I was there in the morning, and he said that it's mutter to a kohen. But Rabbi Mishashi was upset at that. Amalei sharisu, you're being matir. You're being matir this case for the kohen. Yeah, you're right. But the tish tiru av tarba. Like you should be matir chaylev. Like you should be matir treifa. Like it's a way of saying like you got it all wrong. You are terim. Like you're being matir yisurim mamash. So anyway, that was my focus over there. If there's a consideration for a kohen that she shouldn't have to get chalitza because it's only a suffix. So now, what is this? All is an introduction to Agamar. Agamar, the case was that the kohen married a muberes chavero, menekas chavero. He wasn't supposed to, and according to the regular law, we force him to give a get. But now the kohen is going to be in trouble if he gives a get. He can't marry her anymore. What would be the case if this woman muberes chavero, she's muberes menika, and she got married now to a kohen? Are we going to force him to give a get, and he's going to lose her? He's not going to be able to come back anymore. Did they make a consideration for a kohen? They shouldn't have to give chalitza because after all, it's only a chashash, not chalitza. Yeah, it's only a chashash. It's a suffix. It's a suffix. What's the case over here? It's I'm sorry. Muberes chavero is not a suffix. Muberes chavero is a chashash. We want to make sure that he stays away. The case we're talking about is muberes chavero menekas chavero. We want to make sure he doesn't impregnate this woman because then she might become pregnant and then stop and wean her and then have no milk anymore. Then the previous child is not going to have milk. So are we going to make a consideration for a kohen that it's enough to separate without having a get? Amalei, Achiyash, what's the comparison? Bishlam Hasam, Chivin Diki Rabban, the Pligia, Lady of Shimon Gamliel, the Amri, Afagav de Loshav, Vlad Malia Havi, Gabi H is going, Chivin de Lo Efshav, Dina Krabana. Over this Machlokis means instead of Shimon Gamliel is the one who says that within 30 days, every baby, not every baby, if it wasn't for sure a full-term baby, so then it's a suffix nafel. He's the one who says that less than 30 days is a suffix nafel. The Rabbanan argue and they say no, that if the baby's born, you don't have to be choshed that it's a suffix nafel. So the reason why by a kohen will make it, we didn't know before a couple of lines ago. How come by a kohen we're lenient to say that he she doesn't have to get chalitza? Because we could rely on the sheet of the Rabbanan that the baby is not a nafel. She gave birth, so she's not chayv, even she could marry out. So there's somebody to rely on at least. But awesome. Who is there going to be to rely on that she shouldn't need a get? Here again, we're talking about the case of Muberes Chavero. A Kohen married Muberes Chavero, and he wants to just separate without getting a get. But no one holds like that. Rameh says yes, that everybody, even a Yisrael also would have to give a get and never come back again. And Ikra Banan, Amri, we get that even Rabbanan say that he could give a get and come back again, but he also say you need a get. We don't rely on just separation because they might have relations. So he says no. The word says no. That even there's no exception even for a Kohen. A Kohen who married Muberos Chavero, he has to give a get and he can't come back anymore. Nugamara, Itmar, Kisha B'Soch Shlosha Ubarach. This is a case of a B'Soch Shlosha, not exactly our sugya. We're talking about Muberos Chavero, Menekes Chavero. Here the case is, but within 3 months, which we know that a woman after she's divorced, the widow, she can't marry again for 3 months because we want to discern if the child that she's going to become pregnant with is from the first husband or second husband. Because after 7 months, if she's been pregnant, after 7 months, it could be that it's from the second husband and it's a 7-month baby. Sometimes a woman gives birth at 7 months, and it could be a 9-month baby that's going to be from the first husband. So we're not going to know who the baby is. So he's supposed to wait. This person didn't wait. And it seems that we would make him divorce her. The same way that Agamor is saying that even if we know who the baby is, that he has to separate and even divorce her in order that he shouldn't make her pregnant. So this case is not also similar that, and the Gemara, the post can bring down this Gemara also not Lagabi discernation of 3 months, also Lagabi the dinner we're talking about, and he was Makadisher, an outsider was Makadisher, and he ran away. It means really if he'd be here, we would say give a get. That's a lacha. Let's talk about Muberes Chaveri more on our territory, that he married somebody that's pregnant or nursing, and he's not supposed to. And if he did, we'll say give a get and come back after the 2 years, after the time that she finished, after she weans him. But instead of giving a get, he didn't hang around, he ran away. Now, really, we're really happy that he ran away because he's not going to be with her. That's what we want. But is that enough? Or we make that he has to give a get and we don't have an exception. The fact that he ran away, it's not enough. There's machlokas between these one. One said that we put him on chayra means until he gives a get. That his running away, his escape helps him. Means that it's okay if he escaped and he ran away. He's not here next to the woman. There's no chashash he's going to have relations with her. That's good enough. There was such a story. Rafam said that it helps. The fact that he ran away, so then we're not going to force a get. Then we see that they're separated, and afterwards, when he comes back, he could marry her again. So that's the halacha. We finished that sugya. It was about Muberas Chavero, Menekes Chavero. It came in Agav. It wasn't our real subject, but there's a din that someone's not allowed to marry a woman within as long as she's still nursing from a previous marriage, or even pregnant from a previous marriage, even though you know who the baby is already. Not a question of abchana, but they have to wait until she weans him. And if he didn't, so he passed like to Rabbanan that he has to give her a get, but he can take it back again later. The Rabbanan is even more machmir. He gives her a get, never takes it back. Or he passed like to Rabbanan that he has to give a get, and then he can take it back after she weans the child. And the Gemara spoke about a Kohen. Is there an exception for it? And the Gemara says no exceptions for a Kohen. A Kohen also would have to give a get. And the last Gemara talks about that if he runs away, this the Kohen could also do. If he runs away, he didn't ask any questions, he ran away, so then that's good enough. And when he comes back, he could take her back. Safik ben Teisha, Larishon ben Shevalach. Here the case was that the brother did Yibum within 3 months. Is that true? Yes. The Yavam, the Yavam, 1 second. The Yavam, yeah. A man died without children, and the brother did Yibum, but within 3 months. They should have waited 3 months. Yeah, they should have waited to make sure that she's not pregnant, but they didn't. And it comes out that she was pregnant, but they're not sure now if it's from the first husband, second husband. If it's from her first husband, there's no Yibum. If it's from the second husband, so then there is Yibum. So here, first of all, it says that the child is surely kosher. The child is kosher because no matter what he is, if he's from the first husband, so he's kosher. If he's from the second husband, so then it's a din of Yibum. He's kosher manavshach. Also, it says that he has to divorce her. He can't stay with her anymore because maybe it's from the first husband, and there's no Yibum, so he can't remain with her. So he has to. He can't stay with her. Also, the Mishnah ended off that the chayiv asham tali. Asham tali means a carbon that when they did, they're not sure if they did an avera. Means if it will be for sure they did an avera. So then, even though it was unintentional, but it's a chatas. But if they don't know for sure, it's asham tali. So the Mishnah says it's asham tali because they don't know if they did an avera. Maybe the child was, maybe there was no. there was no child, and she only became pregnant from the second husband. So they're not sure. We're not sure if this baby is a 7-month baby or a 9-month baby. So they're being Hashem totally for the union that they had was a suffix if it was chiv chorus or not. Was it yibum or was it chiv chorus? Most women, they have a 9-month pregnancy, a 7-month pregnancy. Nowadays, it doesn't happen at all. But even in those days, that they had a 7-month pregnancy, so nowadays there's a premature baby, but it's not a 7-month baby. They used to have a 7-month baby that was considered a full-term pregnancy in 7 months. But we don't have that, but they used to have that sometimes. But the Gemara says still, even at those times, most women do have a full pregnancy, a full-term pregnancy. So if this woman gave birth after, once the Yava married her, and she gave birth after 7 months, so we should assume that as for sure it's from the first husband. Gosh, is good. Rove women, they have a 9-month pregnancy. So if she married the Yavam and she had a baby after 7 months, so we should say that it's not from the 7-month baby, it's probably a 9-month baby from the first husband. So Rashi says the Kashi is how come you say that it's a suffix, it's a suffix Hashem Tolu, you should say it's a chatas. You should assume that for sure she's not chayv in yibum because the baby is from the first husband, and he should bring a chatas. They should bring a korban chatas. Say going to the rove woman, they have a 9-month pregnancy, not a 7-month pregnancy. Amalei. So Rav Nachman answered, "No shedidan l'shiva yaldan." So literally, the words mean our wives, they give birth at 7 months. It sounds like why we have women that they give birth after 7 months, like it's not a rove. But the Gemara says right away, that's not true. Let's make it a rove. Your women are the rove of the world. The rove of the world still, even if you have some women that give birth by a 7-month pregnancy, but most are 9 months, so the kasha is still in its place. I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say like this. Rove nashim yoldan l'tisha. You're right. The rove women do give birth at a 9-month pregnancy, but there is a miyat, that there's a minority that do give birth to 9, so it's 7. So far, you say go with the rove, but there's a raise on the fact that it's a 9-month baby. That is the tisha that usually the Gemara says kol. The word kol we're going to talk about soon, but women that give birth at a 9-month full term, so the baby should have been recognizable at the third, means the first trimester after 3 months. A third of the pregnancy should have been noticeable. We should be able to see this woman. She got married. She did yibum within the 3 months. Yeah. And even at the 3-month point, even by the first trimester, it wasn't noticeable that she was pregnant. So that's kasha on the side that it was from the first husband. If it was from the first husband, it doesn't look so good. It doesn't look like that because then she should have been noticeable. You should have seen that she's pregnant. The fact we didn't see that she's pregnant. That is a weakening. It's an Isra. The fact that this woman was not noticeable that she was pregnant after a third, if it would have been from the first husband, so the rove is not so strong. Means the rove says that 9-month pregnancy, but there's a kasha on that rove because then it should have been nicker after 3 months, and it wasn't nicker. But the Gemara says the way you're saying it, kol. You said a rule. Anybody. If it's a straight rule across the board that every woman is always recognizable after 3 months, so then it's not only a weakening, then it'll be a mamash proof. If it will be true that every woman that gives birth for a 9-month pregnancy, the pregnancy is recognizable after a third, so this one that we didn't see that she's pregnant after 3 months, we should say that for sure it's from the second husband. If you say this rule, it's a fact. Rove women have a 9, but there's more than a rove. There's a kol. There's a fact that every woman, she's noticeable pregnancy after the first trimester. And here we see that she wasn't, so it's surely from the second husband. So the Gemara fixes it up a little. Change the word kol to rove. It doesn't mean kol. We changed the word from here we had it kol, we changed it to rove. That most of the time. Most women, they're able to, it's recognizable after a third that they're pregnant. And here it wasn't that behind the local Israeli rule, but here that it wasn't noticeable, so it's a kasha, it's a weakening of the rule. So that's the end of the sugya. What we have so far, that if it's she got married, she did yibum within 3 months, and then she became pregnant after 7 months with the second husband. We're not sure if that baby is the 7th month from the second husband or 9 months from the first husband. So it's a suffix. They can't stay married anymore because maybe it's from the first husband. The vlad is surely kosher because one of Shach, whoever his father is, he's okay. He's not a mamzer, and they have to bring Hashem totally because it's a suffix. If that relation was yibum or it was a eshesach without a mitzvah, which is chayv koros. So that's the end of that sugi. The master kasha that there's a row of 9 months, yeah, but on the other hand, if there's a race, and the fact that it wasn't noticeable after 3 months that she's pregnant, so it looks like it's not a 9 months. So we don't know because of that suffix, Ashim Tali. The rest of the sugi goes into another point now that the Mishnah doesn't talk about. We spoke about that this baby that they had yibum and they after 2 months, let's say, and she became pregnant after 7 months. So we're not sure if that baby is for the first one husband, second one husband. What if afterwards they have a baby, a mamish? They stay together. They shouldn't supposed to stay together. They stay together and they have another baby. What's the din of that baby? Let's talk about us. What would you say?
Okay.
Why should it be okay? Maybe she's maybe the first baby was the baby of the first brother, and then there's no yibum and it's a chayiv kar, it's a mamzer. So it's a suffix mamzer. Suffix mamzer. The one is going to be born from, if they stay married, the yibum stays married over here. It's a suffix yibum. What do you mean yibum? How could you stay yibum? Maybe it's the brother. Maybe the first brother had children, and had a child, and she's not supposed to yibum, and you stay married with the brother's wife, and it's not a mitzvah. So it's a chayiv kar. The kid is mamzer. It's a suffix mamzer. That's what it's going to say, and then the Gemara is going to have a long aricha to talk about what's the din of a suffix mamzer. Yeah. What do you do with somebody when it's a suffix mamzer? Who's he allowed to marry? That's going to be the nusuk. It's not really relevant to us. The first one is really a big miyuchas. You don't know who his father is, but wherever his father is, he's a kosher. So if he's a father, if his father is the deceased one, the one who died, so then it's fine. He was the son. He was the son of a kosher man. And if it's the second one, so it was a yibum, son of a yibum. So he could be a kohen gadol if the fathers are kohanim over there. If the fathers, the two brothers are kohanim, so then there's the one who's born. He doesn't know who his father is. This one, that one, but he's a miyuchas. That's what the Mishnah wants. The Brisa just wants to stress that he's kosher yichus. The sheni, if they stayed married and they had another son, definitely from the second one, so then it's a mamzer, misafik, a suffix mamzer, because you don't know, because was the mother allowed to marry the brother's wife, the husband's brother or not? So suffix mamzer. But mamzer misafik. No such thing, no mamzer misafik. What does that mean? Why is that a mamzer misafik? Of course it's mamzer misafik. So the more means to say that there's no halachic ramifications of being a suffix mamzer, because my kama, the Muslim will talk about what that means. Rabbi explains that it means to say Rishon Roli is kohen gadol, as we said, that's a good yichus. But Sheni suffix mamzer, also ben mamzer. Tana Kama holds that since what's the din of a suffix mamzer? We're going now into a mamish tangent, not a subject at all. What's the din of a suffix mamzer? Somebody you're not sure if it's a mamzer or not. Suffix mamzer. So Tana Kama says he's not allowed to marry mamzeres vadai. Is a suffix mamzer allowed to marry a vadai mamzer? A mamzer is allowed to marry a mamzeres. Mutter. Right. The kid's going to be a mamzer, but they're allowed to marry. What's the name of a suffix mamzer? Is he allowed to marry a vadai mamzer? That's going to be the sugya. Tana Kama says not allowed to. A suffix mamzer cannot. He's stuck. He can't marry a kosher. He can't marry a suffix mamzer. He'd be able to marry a ger, because they're mutter by mamzer mutter with a kosher. See, either way is good, but he wouldn't be able to marry a vadai mamzeres. But when Yaakov Omer ain't a suffix mamzer, a vadai mamzer mutter by mamzeres. So but let's is going to be Mikkel and say, I agree to the facts. The facts are that it's suffix mamzer, but a suffix mamzer is allowed to marry mamzeres. So mamish, as I'm trying to stress that it's a new subject. What's the din of a suffix mamzer? Everyone agrees this is a case of a suffix mamzer, nothing to do with yevamos. It's a suffix mamzer. And now, what's the din of a suffix mamzer? It belongs to the Mesachas Kedushin. So Tana Kama says suffix mamzer is also to marry a vadai mamzer, and the Belez Ben Yaakov says that suffix mamzer is mutter to marry a vadai mamzer. Rabbi doesn't like this. Rabbi is going to say the opposite. We're going to see why he says the opposite. He also agrees there's machlok is going on if a suffix mamzer is mutter to marry a vadai mamzer, but they're just going to switch it around. Rabbi Amar Hachi Kama. Tana Kama is the one who says that it's mutter, and the Belez Ben Yaakov is the one who says that it's also. Rishon Roli is kohen gadol. The first one is a meyuchas. The sheni mamzer vadai is suffix or mutter by mamzeres. The second one is not a meyuchas, he's a suffix mamzer, but Tana Kama is going to say he's not a marry mamzeres. And Belez Ben Yaakov is the one who's coming to be machmer and saying that a suffix mamzer is not allowed to marry a vadai mamzeres. Ein vadai mamzer misafik, which means a suffix mamzer v'asa ben mamzeres. So that's the machlokis. Machlokis Abai and Rav is how to explain the brisa, who's the machmer, who's the maker. Surely there's one Tana that says that a suffix mamzer is mutter to marry a mamzeres, and one says asa, and we don't know who holds what. That's the question. And now the Gemara goes into why they have an opinion. Why do they want to make a Belez Ben Yaakov to be the one that says that it's mutter, or to be the one that says that it's asa? The arguing about what your Belazar explained, your Belazar is a Tana, the Tanan, your Belazar Omer, Vadan, mutter, Vadan, the asa. That a vadai mamzer is allowed to marry a vadai mamzeres. If both of them are mamzer vadai, they're allowed to marry each other. But a vadai with a suffix, or a suffix with a vadai, or a suffix with a suffix, they're not allowed to. The other one's feka. What's called a suffix mamzer? Shtuki vasufi v'kusi. Shtuki means that we don't know who his father is. You don't know who his father is.
Right.
You ask who the father, they say be quiet. Shtuki.
Be quiet.
Not to say was because that's the suffix mamzer. You don't know who his father is. Feka means sufi means that you just picked him up in the market and the shuk and by the train station. You found the baby. You don't know who it is, so it's a suffix mamzer. You don't know who the mother is either. And kusi, Rashi says over there, they're also a suffix mamzer because they used to marry in a way that it might be a suffix mamzer. Rashi says they didn't hold the kedusha kesef, and it could be a case that a person gave kedusha kesef and the other person didn't consider that a marriage, and they married her anyway. And whatever the case is, they had halacha kitchens over there, and might be mamzerim amongst the kusim. But anyway, that's the case of a suffix mamzer. So what do we have? Machlokes Rabbi Elazar says that a suffix is also to marry a bari mamzer. Lam Rav Yehuda Marav, halacha Rabbi Elazar. Rav Paschal's like a Elazar that a suffix mamzer is also to marry a bari mamzer. Lam Rav Yehuda. We said, can we come with the Shmuel? But Rav Yehuda later on said Rav's halacha to Shmuel. Again, Rav's the one who said halacha Rabbi Elazar that a suffix mamzer is also to marry a bari mamzer. And then when he told Shmuel, Amali, Hillel, Shana, Asar, Yuchsan, Olami, Bavel, Pani, Levivi, Israeli, Halali, Geri, V'charure, Mamzeri, Nesini, Shtuki, Vasufi, V'kul, Mutar, Lavazeh. By the time of the halacha Rabbi Elazar, Shmuel said, as a Stam Mishnah, Hillel said, this is an Asar Yuchsan over there, that Asar Yuchsan is 10 types of lineage came from Babel to Eretz Yisrael. And it says that Ezra, when he came up, so he brought up the people on all different levels of yichus, and they were able to take care of it more in Eretz Yisrael than in Babel. So he took all of the problematic cases to make sure they went to Eretz Yisrael. So here it says there's 10 yuchsim, 10 kinds of lineage. Kohanim, Leviim, Yisraelim, Chalalim. Chalalim means a Kohen that married a Grusha or Zona, Chalala. In the case of that, the child becomes a Chalal. Gerim, Haruri means Eved Meshuchra, Eved that was freed. Mamzeri, Nesini, and Nastin is also like they gave him a din of the mamzer, like the Givonim, they gave him a din of a mamzer. Shtuki Asufi, that's suffix mamzerim. Okay, that's what we're looking for. Now it says we're calling that within these 10, there are groupings that are mutter to marry each other. For instance, Kohen Levim Yisraelim, they're allowed to marry each other. Halal Geri Chavuri, and the one wants to say also that it says that Shtuki and Asufi also are allowed to marry each other. That means that's fake and amutter. So Shmuel is telling to Rav Yehuda, how could Rav have said the halacha is like a Elazar that a suffix mamzer is also to marry bari mamzer or a suffix mamzer? Here, Hillel says that it's mutter. Mishnah of Asar Yuchsin. So Shmuel is the one who says that a suffix mamzer is mutter with a bari mamzer. So once we have this machlokes, now we're going to say that's machlokes of Ayin Rava. They're also arguing like Shmuel or like Rav. Do we paskin, which will comes out to be a machlokes, maybe Tanoim, machlokes of Rav and Shmuel. Now comes machlokes of Ayin Rava also. Is suffix mamzer allowed to marry a bari mamzer? Everyone wants to make that Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov should be the halacha. Means we paskin like Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov always. Rashi means on Amud Beis, Mishas of Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov Kavanaki, that Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is always the halacha. So the one who says that it's mutter, suffix mamzer is mutter b'bari mamzer, that's Abai holds like Shmuel. So he wants to say that Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is the one who said that it's mutter. That it shouldn't be a contradiction in halacha because we're going to paskin that suffix mamzer is mutter. So we want that Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov also should say that because if else will be a kasha. Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov says it's asur. We always pass like Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. We be kasha elchasa. So therefore, Abai says Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is the one who says that suffix mamzer is mutter. Rav also had the same consideration because the opposite, because he was like Rav that says suffix mamzer is asur. So he wants to make Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is the one who says that it's asur in order to make that should be the halacha. So it comes out everybody agrees that the case here is a suffix mamzer. That the case the one who if the yavam married the yevama, and it's a question if she's the yevama or not. It could be that she has a child. There's a child from the first one. So that marriage is a suffix kares. So the child that's born is a suffix mamzer. That's really what's the get sugya. And the whole sugya now talks about what's the din of a suffix mamzer. Is he allowed to marry a mamzeres, vaday or not? And happens to be machlokes. Maybe as we went to Rabbi Elazar, the Tana, and Hillel brings down the Asar Yuchsin, and machlokes Rav and Shmuel Yipaskan like, and now by Rav also arguing in that. And it comes out of machlokes. Whatever the halacha is, they say that Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is the one who says that because they want to make the halacha should be like Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov because as Rashi says. Kavanaki. Here is Rashi on the top line. Nishas of Elazar ben Yaakov Kavanaki. Whatever he says a little bit, but whatever he says is good. Is the halacha. So that came in as a side point about suffix mamzer. What's the halacha? Is he allowed to marry a bari mamzer? Top line. From where do I know that the Beleza ben Yaakov holds that a suffix is like a Badai? In other words, that a suffix mamzer is mutter to marry a Badai mamzer. The Tanya Beleza ben Yaakov Omer Hareisha Baal Nashim Harbe. The Torah says that there's such thing called Zima. Mola Oret Zima. You can say that it's going to be at the end of the Gemara over here. It says Mola Oret Zima. The world is going to be filled with Zima. And the Gemara and here Beleza ben Yaakov is explaining it, and he says that if people will get married without knowing from who they are, who the one that they're having relations with, so then it could be that it can become Amzerim in the world. A man had relations with many women and doesn't know who they are. A woman who had relations with many men and doesn't know who they are. It could be that no one has the yichus, no one knows who they are. They don't know who the father is, they don't know who the mother is. So then it could be that people will end up marrying relatives. It could be that a father is going to marry his daughter. He doesn't know. He doesn't realize. He doesn't know his yichus. She doesn't know her yichus. She doesn't know that this is his father. Or achnos yasachosa, it could be brother and sister will marry because no one knows who their parents are. The world's going to become filled of mamzerim. The fact that he calls them mamzerim, the Gemara is stressing the point that he calls them mamzerim means that called like a mamzer vadai. It's not called a mamzer vadai. It's a suffix mamzer. The fact that he calls a suffix mamzer like a vadai mamzer, that Rabbi sees as a raya that there's no difference between a suffix mamzer and a vadai mamzer, and a suffix mamzer would be allowed to marry a vadai mamzer. It sounds like just the wording. Maybe Rabbi is being medayik. That's called zima. There's nus is going to cause that there should be amzerim, and the fact that he doesn't differentiate between mamzer vadai, mamzer suffix, because he also there's no difference because the suffix mamzer is allowed to marry a vadai mamzer. Zu mahi. The word zima is a combination of the word zu mahi. What zu mahi, like a Rosh Tevis. Zu, what is it? It means that he's not saying that it's a vadai mamzer. He's saying that it's a suffix mamzer. Rabbi says that suffix mamzer is asa, and therefore he says that if people are going to marry without knowing who they're marrying, they have relations with all kinds of people. They don't know who it is. So the world's going to be full of suffix mamzerim. So we leave it at that. Machlokas between Tanom and Amarim. If a suffix mamzer is allowed to marry a vadai mamzer, and it seems that Rav and Rava say that it's asa. So I didn't look into the halacha, but that's the focus in our Gemara. And it's not relevant to our Gemara. Our Gemara is not talking about that. It does give a case. An our Mishnah will be a suffix mamzer over here. What's going to be the suffix mamzer? If the yibum was done within 3 months, and then a baby's born after 7 months, so you don't know if it's from the first one and there's no yibum and it's kiss a mamzer. The kid that's born, the next kid that's born, this kid is a suffix mamzer. I'm sorry. The first kid that's born is balei kosher because he's the first or the second, right, and it's a kosher. But if they remain married, so a person's married his brother's wife, and it's a suffix of the zibum, so the children are a suffix mamzerim, and the rest of the Gemara spend into this halacha is a suffix mamzer allowed to marry a balei mamzer. The rest of the Gemara now comes in. We can put parentheses over here. This is side subjects over here. Yes, al Cain. Amar Rabbi Lesben Yaakov. Once we mentioned the point that people would marry without knowing who they have relations, not marrying, having relations with all kinds of people that they don't know who they are, the world was going to get mamzerim. They're not going to go with the yichus. He says also for the same reason, a person shouldn't even have a real marriage in different countries because the children are not going to know who they are. A person shouldn't marry a woman in one country and then marry a woman in another country. The children might get together and they don't know who the parents are because from different countries. So nowadays maybe it's better because you do have everyone who can bring records, but those days they didn't have records, only from people's knowledge in the same country. They know who's who, but someone comes to someplace else, they don't know. How should he know that this is the daughter of his father? He wouldn't know. So therefore, people should not do that. They shouldn't marry in different countries, different women, because the children might get together and their brother might marry his sister. Any is that so that it's also to marry in different countries? When Rav would come to a certain city, he would announce who's willing to marry for a day. It means he didn't want to be without a wife even for a short period. So when he came to that place, it seems like it was a different country. He would announce who would marry even for a day, and he would have. And the Gemara thinks at this point he'd have relations, and he might have a child, and they wouldn't know his other children in the other country in Surin or wherever he was. So they wouldn't know that they're brother and sister. Right. Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov says you're not allowed to do that. Also, Rav Nachman, same idea. When he came to that city of Shech Netziv, he would also announce who wants to marry for a day. So you're not allowed to do that. The answer is, people that are famous, they have no problem. If it's a famous personality, so people know who the child is. This is Rav's child, this is Rav's child. So even if it's in different countries, but when they get together, they're going to realize that they're yichus. They start talking about who's your father, Rav. But in other cases, they don't know who's this Shimon or somebody. So by famous people, then you're allowed to marry in different countries because the child is surely going to know who he is, and then when they make a shidduch, they'll find out if it's from the same parents, they won't marry. Then what's the side problem now? How could Rav and Rav Nachman have done this to marry for a day? They used to send and marry temporarily. A woman that the chassan said, is she ready to marry, to consummate the marriage? And she agreed. She has to wait Shiva Nikim because maybe the fact that she gets all excited about the marriage, she might have some blood. It might have caused some menstrual blood, not the regular cycle, but some blood might have been, I don't know, from the emotional excitement that she might have become a nida. She has to wait 7 Nikim. So if he just comes for a day, he says he wants to marry, and it sounds like he's going to marry her right away, she's a nida for 7 days. Yechoshesh for nida for 7 days. The Gemara answers that they wouldn't just come right away. They would send the shliach earlier, 7 days earlier, and says who is willing to marry Rav, he's coming in 7 days, and then the woman would have time to have Shiva Nikim. So then she wouldn't be a nida anymore. It could be that they didn't marry on the spot. When they came into town, they said who was ready to get married. Not that I'm going to marry right away, but if I want to, who's going to be ready to get married? And if they do want, so then they'll wait 7 days. That it's not the same a person who is, when he's hungry, if he has bread in his package, so he's not so hungry. When he has no bread, then he's hungry. When he has bread, even if he doesn't eat, he knows that it's there. It's on call. If he needs it, it's good enough. So too, they wanted to make sure that there's a woman available if he wants to marry. Maybe he doesn't want to marry, but if he wants to marry, it'll be there. And if he would want to marry, then he'd have to wait 7 days, and he was okay with that, since he knows that there's a woman that's available for him if he wants to marry. But if he'd have no wife over there, so then it would be difficult. And one last thing the Gemara brings in, Mamash also as a side point. A person should marry a woman with the intention of divorcing her. He doesn't tell her. If he tells her, it's not a problem. We see in a second. But if he didn't tell her, he marries her, but he has intention that he's going to divorce her. The case of Rabban before, they knew l'chatchila, only marrying temporarily, only for a couple of days. But over here, if he doesn't tell her, so then he shouldn't marry her with the intention of divorcing her. Don't plan against your friend evil, and he's sitting securely with you. She had no idea that he's going to divorce her. So don't play around. You want to divorce her only after a few days. So if you tell her, it's okay. But if you don't tell her, so then it'll be Yosef because you're fooling her. She thinks you're getting into a full regular marriage, and he plans to divorce her. Okay, a little case about Yerusha now. The Gemara starts talking about Yerusha, about the suffix over here. So it's not anymore Hilchos Yevamos anymore, but it's outcomes of the case that we had. We had a case of a suffix. I have a little diagram. I'm not sure if it helps, but let's see if it helps.
Oh, that's right. Dr. Flynn can't watch today.
Right. Here's a case where it was 2 brothers, and he died without children, but he had a wife, but she did have a child, but the Yavam had relations with the woman within 3 months. This is the case we're talking about. A man died, and the brother did Yibum within 3 months. He should have waited. Maybe she's pregnant, but he didn't wait. He had relations. The Yavam did Yibum, and then she did have a child after 7 months. And the question is, this child that's born is a suffix. Who's his father? Maybe there was no Yibum supposed to have happened. There should have been from. It was really from the father, and from this husband, the first husband, and there was no Yibum necessary, or she wasn't yet pregnant at the time of the Yibum, and this son is really a 7-month baby from the second husband. That's the case. And now the question is about the Yerusha. This son is called a suffix. He's called a suffix. This is the dead brother. This is the live brother, the Yavam, or maybe Yibum. And this is the son. We don't know who his father is. Is his father the original one, and no Yibum should have happened, or his father is the brother, and he's a result of the Yibum. So now the question is, who gets the Yerusha? The lacha is that a son yarshins, but if he's not a son, so then the brother's going to yarshin, the Yavam yarshins, and both of them come now to Bezdin, And the question, they come or they don't come, who gets the Yerusha? It's a suffix, right?
Right.
That's the Gemara's issue. Safak v'yavam shabo lachlok b'nichsei misna. The suffix, the child who's a suffix, and the brother who's the yavam, they come to divide the estate of the dead man. Suffix amar, ano bar misnu. The suffix says, I'm the son of, maybe I'm the son of the dead man. I yashin him. V'nichsei didiyu, so an estate belongs to me. V'yavam amar adroi didiyat, and the brother, the yavam says, you're my son. You're my son. You're not my brother's son. That's good. The cheshbon is good, and you don't get any Yerusha. You're my son. You have to wait till I die, but you don't get my brother. And that's the machlokes. Is he the son of the dead brother or not? So what do you do? What do you do between the brother and the son? Having mamar and mutal b'safik, mamar mutal b'safik cholkin. So they have to divide. They divide the Yerusha because we don't know. Maybe it's his, maybe it's his. So they divide it. And that next case. Next case. The children, this man also died now. The same case before. This was the same case as before. So far, it's the same case as before. But add on that he has children. He died also. Again, first he died, and this brother did yibum to her. Within 3 months, he shouldn't have. And the child born is a suffix. We don't know if it's the son of the original husband or it's the son of the yavam. But then he has also other children also. This other brother had his own children, and now he died. And now they're talking about who gets his Yerusha. What's the question over here? These sons surely are Yoshim. What?
Yeah.
And he is a suffix. We don't know who he is. Is he also a son, or is he a brother's son? That's the next case. Suffix. What?
Can't get the picture on the screen.
I'd have to do. I'll try one second. I didn't get around to it before. Let's try it one more time. I think so. Let's see this one, and then also this one. Okay, hope it goes now. Okay, now we can do it. So here we are. Let's see if I get the screen on. Okay. I'll make it smaller. Okay, something like that. So here we are in the Gemara. Second white line. Suffix uvenei yavam shabo lachlak b'nichsei misna. The suffix again with the sons of the yavam. Here we have that over here. The second case over here, the suffix and the son of the yavam that come to divide in the nechasim of the yavam. What's the case over there? Suffix amahu gava bar misnahu. The suffix says, "I'm a son of the one who died." He was coming the other time. I'm the son of the yavam. Who? And I also get a share. B'nei yavam amri at achinuat umanasa who the islach. I'm making a mistake. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I made a mistake when I explained it. We're going now in the case that he has a son, but they're coming still to divide the nechasim of the dead man. I started saying about the yavam. That's going to be the next case. The next case is going to be they come to divide the nechasim of the yavam. Here we're talking about they're still coming to divide the nechasim of the original the brother that died. So he says it's my father and nothing to do with you. And they say you're one second, I'm sorry. That you're a son of our father. And you get we get all we're going to get here. We want to get this one died. We want to get you get a portion to get like all of us. You don't get the whole Yerusha of that brother. You're our brother, and we're all together in this. That he yashined his brother, and now we're yashining our father. So you don't get everything of that of the nechasim of the yavam. Again, let's see it inside. Misna. Misna means the one who originally died. Safak Amar Hu Gaba Bar Misnahu. Everything's mine. I'm the only son. You're sons of the brother, not the sons of the deceased man, the first one who died. You are brother, and you have a portion together with all of us. All of us are going to yash together. So the Rabbanan over there in the base medrash, they thought to compare it to a Mishnah that we'll see right away. Who ain't a Yorish of some, v'hem Yorshim also. V'hacha ipcha. Let's just see the case over here. Here's the Mishnah later on. The Gemara is quoting a Mishnah later on. Here's a case that
Three children, each have 3 children.
there's a woman that one man has children, second man has children, but the wife over here, she was first married to the first one, then married to the second one, and she didn't wait 3 months in between. And they had a son. She had a son. This one is a suffix. These are validated children of the first husband. These are validated children of the second husband. And this one, we're not sure if he's from the first husband or the second husband. We don't know who his father is. That's the Mishnah later on, and it says that who ain't a Yorish. When they die, when the sons die, he doesn't have a right to get the Yerusha, because they say that we don't know that you are brother. The sons of the first one say we don't know you are brother. The sons of the second one say we don't know that you are brother. But if he dies, then they do Yarshin, because they say together your Manushach, the son of one of our fathers. So they all come together and they say your Yerusha solely belongs. They're going to split it, but like any brothers is split. So they're going to split the Yerusha, and they'll get half and they'll get half.
They win both ways. It's not fair. It's a little bit not fair. They win in both ways.
What do you mean?
Yorish to the Yechid, and they don't, and yet they receive the Yechid's.
Yeah, that's what comes out. The Gemara is going to say why. The Gemara is going to say that the cheshbon makes sense, and the Gemara says over there. Let's see. So they thought that this case is going to be similar. Again, just to get it on the screen. They thought that this case is similar, and the Gemara is going to explain why. Here's going to be the opposite. Over there they say, bring a proof that you are brother, and that you are our brother, and then you can get a Yerusha. Means how come he doesn't yashin them? In the case over there, why doesn't he yashin them? In this case. What am I doing wrong? Okay. In this case, how come he can't yashin them? Because they say, bring a proof that you are brother. You have to bring a proof. Allah laviraya. So you can't yashin us because you're a suffix. And over here, he says to them, bring a raya that you're my brother. Means they want to get a Yerusha from him, right? These sons, the sons of the brother, they want to get a Yerusha from him. He's the one who died. They want to get his Yerusha. So the suffix says to them, bring a proof that you're a brother over here, that you belong here. So that's the reason why he should get the chazak. He should get it. The Gemara, it doesn't make sense at this point. The Gemara is right away going to say it doesn't make sense because everybody's a suffix. But the Gemara looks at it like he's more a definite. And the right away the Gemara says it's not true. Let's just see the words inside. Over there, the one brother in the suffix, they tell him, bring a proof that you're a brother, and then you can take. He says to them, you bring a proof that you have a right to get a Yerusha. Till you bring a proof, you can't yashin. But right away the Gemara says it's not a comparison. What's the comparison? In the case before, the reason that they could push him away is because they say we are vadai.
Yeah.
We are vadai sons of the 1 and 2. You. But in this case, they're all the same. We don't. They're all suffix. He's when this brother dies, we don't know who the sons are. Is he the son?
first brother.
of the first brother.
Or is it?
And they also might dash him, because if he's not a son, so then they're all the nephews. They're all equal nephews. There's no reason why he has more of a chazaka on his Yerusha than they do. If he's his son, you're right, then he gets it. But if he's not his son, so then they're all equal. So there's no reason why he should get more than them.
But we said before that if there was no other son, then just him and the father, they would split it.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so why don't they split it the same way that he's splitting with the father? That he should tell those 6 brothers that whatever. And
In the case of the 6 brothers,
yeah,
what should he say over there?
that he should split it with them. That he should get.
Who died?
Is the second father dying?
Here, both of them died. Here it says who Yoresh, the way the Mishnah says, who in the Yoresh owes some, if they would die. But whatever any case you want to say, he doesn't have a right to, he can't get Yerusha from either one of them, because each one they push him away.
It might be from the other one.
But he's from one of them, so he should get something.
But let's say one of them. But each one, when they come, each party
They're
pushes him
telling
away. You know, you can't demand anything from us because maybe you're not our brother. This one, number one died, so he can't get any Yerusha from him because they say we're Vadai sons, you're a Suffolk, and the second one says the same thing. So it's true that he's losing out on both ends, but but over here they're all equal, because yes, we don't know if he's a brother or not. If he's a son of the first one, and they also say that's Suffolk. You don't know you don't know your father is. So maybe yes, maybe not. On the side that you're not a son, so then we're all equal. So it's a 50-50. There's no more reason you should get than we should get. That was what Rashasha told them. But if you do want a case that's similar to that Mishnah, I'll give you a case. If you want a case that's going to be similar to the Mishnah, the case of the 6 brothers over there, I'll give you a case. That's the next case that I brought by mistake. I brought it earlier, but this case. That the question of Yerusha is when this brother dies. Again, this was the original one that died, and his wife did Yibum to the brother, but it was too early. We're not sure. It was 2 months only instead of 3 months, and they had a son. This case is a Suffolk. He's a Suffolk case still, and he has his own son. He has Vadai sons, and now they want to know the Yerusha of this father. So here, what's over here? He's a Vadai son, and he's a Suffolk son. So here he can push him away. This son, when this person dies, when the Yavam dies, then it's his son can push away the Suffolk and say, "I'm a Vadai Yoresh and you're a Suffolk." So you can't Yashin. You can't take away from me. The Suffolk, I was saying, it's good.
Yeah.
The Suffolk of Bnei Yavam Shabbat Lachlak Bnei Yavam Gufe. The Yavam himself, not the dead man, not the original brother. The second one died. Dasam Amri Le Isi Raya the Hunaat Ushko. Bring a proof that you are brother and take. Till you bring a brother, till you bring a proof, you have no supposed to get the Yerusha. Okay, till here, we're stopping over here. Go up to this case over here. Suffolk U Bnei Yavam. Shabo Lachlak B'Nechse Yavam Labasa the Palag Yavam B'Nechse Misna. So I didn't get so far. That's as far as I got. And the time is 11:59, so we're okay.
Want to hear your song? How it sounds like?
We had a few minutes, not okay, then you can catch to it.